going on, everybody? Welcome to a brand new edition of the Chris Stevens Writes YouTube show. I'm, of course, Chris Stevens, a writer who writes and talks about different things on his channel, including society, culture, music, sports, television, whatever's on my mind at this point in time. And I told you guys I was going to come back on here with a fresh cut because I don't like being on here without a haircut and my goatee lined up and 5 o'clock shadow stubble. I hate it. You really can't see it. It's starting to grow back. It's such an annoying thing. Like, I shaved my head Friday night, and as I'm recording this for Monday morning, it's already starting to grow back. Like, I don't know if you can hear, but you can hear the stubble has already reappeared on my head. But it's still a fresh look. Very much, happy to be in front of this camera, feeling better about myself in that regard. Feeling better about myself in another regard is going to have to take some time because, yes, ladies and gentlemen, consider this the official notice that I'm not saying that the crowdfunding effort failed completely, because I did get a lot of donations that were very helpful, but it just wasn't enough to get a transmission for this 2009 Altima. And quite honestly, I don't have the patience for it, and I'm running out of time, honestly, because the generous law enforcement officials here in the city of Wilmington, Delaware, have just been giving me ticket after ticket after ticket, and I can't afford it. Just to have the car sitting there and, just be paying like parking tickets for an abandoned car that shouldn't be being reported as abandoned, because I feel like somebody around here, I don't know who, and I really don't care, because, anybody who has that much time on their hands to call in a car that's been sitting there for 3 months doesn't have anything else to do with their time, and that's not my concern. So I'm going to junk it and hopefully get enough money from that to where I can put that up along with the donations to start looking for another car and hopefully get one before the summer ends, because I want to enjoy my summer, because I've busted my butt from July to now, honestly. Like, I literally have been nonstop from the start of college football training camps, covering college football season for HBCU Sports, covering high school and college basketball here in Delaware for my own brand, which is First State Hoops Report, and back to the college stuff for HBCU Sports, which I'm having a great time doing. But once these kids get out of school, ain't gonna be that much to report on. You know what I'm saying? So I want to be able to enjoy my summer. I want to go to concerts. I want to go to car shows. I just want to go for a freaking ride. That's the one thing I miss. That's the one thing I miss about driving and, being able to just get my keys and go, is just that. Get my keys and go. If I want to go somewhere, even if it's nowhere in particular, like if I just want to drive to, 7-Eleven or something, damn, man, that many 7-Elevens open anymore, which is very unfortunate. But if I just wanted to go, like, just go for a drive, listen to some music with no particular destination in mind, or if I just feel like, I need to grab something from the store real quick, just going to get in the car and go. Haven't been able to do that since January 23rd. So the official story of how the car kicked the bucket. January 23rd, was that a Thursday or a Tuesday? Can't remember. I know it was one of those days, because that's the only days that the boys and girls seem to play high school basketball around here, is Tuesdays and Thursdays. But anyway, on my way to St. George's Tech to watch St. George's Tech play Odessa High School. I've been looking forward to seeing Odessa all year long, because I had seen, they had started off like 10-0 or something like that. And I was like, okay. Actually, I was on my way to Odessa because that's where the game was. But they were playing St. George's. I was like, okay, cool. So those of you who are Delawareans, when you come off the Bill Roth Bridge, not the original St. George's Bridge, because the original St. George's Bridge is going to be closed at least through the end of this summer, because they're doing work on it. But so everyone takes the newer bridge, which was named after the late Senator William V. Roth. Anyway, if you don't want to pay the toll to go on Route 1, you take that little turn off at the end of the Roth. I took that turn off at the end of the Roth. Everything is going cool, and all of a sudden my car just jerks, and then it starts grinding hella loud. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? So I pull over on the shoulder, on the left shoulder, which is a bad move because the right shoulder is always the best shoulder when you're getting on Route 13. So I pull over on that left shoulder where that little divide is between the two bridges. And then I noticed that, the car won't go into drive. Like, it'll go into drive, but it won't accelerate. It won't move forward. So I put the car in reverse. It goes in reverse. Put it back in drive, won't drive. So that lets me know right then and there, we've got a transmission problem, because I dealt with this with my very first car, a 1994 Mitsubishi Diamante. I dealt with it in 2004. coming from a Howard University football game, Delaware State Howard football game in DC. So I know this is bad. I know this is bad. Like, and the crazy part is I had not had any problems with this car beforehand. So I'm just like, what the hell is going on here? So I get a ride home from my sister, call my mechanic friend, tell him what the deal is. He sends a guy that he knows, that will tow it back to the house for me. And my boy's giving me quotes and prices for transmission. And it's like, I'm looking at my bank account and I'm looking at how much money I make, as a journalist. And while it's enough to keep a roof over my head, keep my bills paid, keep food in my refrigerator, clothes on my back, all that good stuff, it's just not an extra expense that I can afford at this point, the transmission. And honestly, a whole nother car is just a whole nother thing, but I'm more in line with just, cutting my losses where I can, because even if the transmission gets fixed, something else is going to pop up. I mean, because my car is a 2009 Nissan Altima, and I'm going to tell you right now, Nissan, the engineers, you will not see heaven for this bullshit CVT transmission situation y'all got going on. Like, everybody I know that has driven a Nissan. My younger brother has a 2013, the transmission's gone. A gentleman that I follow on Instagram who used to have a VW Beetle, he used to have a Herbie replica, but he had to get rid of the Herbie replica, for his own personal reasons. But he said his 2015 Nissan is garbage. So Nissan, I have an 09. My brother has a 13. This gentleman I talked to has a 2015. So, that's a wide range. That's 2 or 3 model cycles of different Nissans where the CVT transmission is bullshit. And it can't just be the same. It can't be the drivers. It can't be a lack of maintenance. As a late, dearly departed family friend used to say, Robert H. Martin III, God rest his soul, he used to say, whenever in an argument, it's against the law of averages. And yes, it's against the law of averages that the same problem pops up with the same damn make and model of automobile every single time. So I'm not going, I like Nissans, but I'm not going back. Check that off the list. I am not getting a Nissan. I'm not. At least not a Nissan with the CVT. We're going to talk about the kind of car I'm going to eventually be looking for in a minute. But yes. So this car has been sitting out front of my house since January 23rd. It is April 21st. I ain't got it, man. I ain't got it to give. Actually, April 22nd. I ain't got it to give, man. I just don't. Like, it just doesn't seem solvent to me to just keep trying to, dink and dunk here for a transmission when I'm already up against it because I can't move the car, and then people are, tattletaling on my car sitting out front. So it's better to just get rid of it, junk it, and then start putting up towards something else. What does something else look like for Chris Stevens? Well, this is where we get into the gearhead part of my, aspect of my personality. I love cars. I have for a very long time. I was a little guy. I was, 2, 3 years old. My Aunt Holly and my Uncle Herb, rest in peace to Uncle Herb, when they were dating, because Aunt Holly is my godmother, and Uncle Herb was my mother's brother, but he also was dating my aunt, dating my godmother at the time. So by default, when it came time for me to, as a little baby, to get my head dunked in that water, he became my godfather. So he was my uncle and my godfather at the same time. Okay. They were dating in the early 1980s, which of course is when I first came around, when I first came on this planet. And when I was about 2 or 3 years old, they had Volkswagen Beetles. I told you guys this story. I think I told you guys this story on the VW episode that I did before. But if not, this is your first time hearing it. If it's not your first time hearing it, just smile and nod. So my Aunt Holly had an apple green Beetle, and my Uncle Herb had a pumpkin orange one. His had mag wheels on it. He blew the transmission out with those slot racers that everyone had back in the 80s. Why he put those on a 2-cylinder, 3-cylinder, 4-stroke engine is a mystery to me. With that transmission, I don't know. Brother's going brother. But yeah, I sat in the back seat of those cars so many times because my mom was a single mom. She was just starting to get back to the workforce. She needed a break, and they would come and get me, and we would go to Newcastle Farmers Market to get strawberries and just live. And that was, my introduction to the Beetle, which became my first favorite car. And it's still my favorite car to this day. But then as I started getting older around the neighborhood, you started seeing different people driving different cars, and you learned more about there was different types of cars and that funny little thing that your godparents used to come scoop you up in. So I just became like obsessed with cars for a very long time. Never forget, I was 17 years old, senior year of high school. I was one of those guys who fell in love with. I was one of those people who was following, junkyard people before YouTube became a thing. Because you read like different car magazines about, oh hey, I pulled this out of the field for $200. I put my blood, sweat, and tears into it, and look at it now. I was one of those kids that was like, maybe that could be me. So I saw a 1981 Chevette in the paper for $200. Back then, there was no, there were no apps. There was no Facebook Marketplace. I'm gonna get on Facebook Marketplace shit in a minute. But there was no Facebook Marketplace. There was no Craigslist. I mean, the internet was still kind of new to us at the time. This was like 1998-ish, 1998, 1999-ish. And you used to have to place ads for things in the newspaper, like literally call someone up and say, hey, this is what I want to go in the paper. This is for sale, looking for this, looking for that. This is the price. Here's the number you can call. Yeah, there were no email addresses. There were no inbox me for more infos or none of that shit. It was just like you had to literally call the newspaper and say, hey, I want to place this car for sale. So 1981 Chevette was $200. Even in 1999, that seemed kind of sketchy. But I didn't care. I wanted to see it. My mother refused. And that really sparked the gearhead in me because I was like, yo, I'm so obsessed with cars and I'm really pissed off that I can't go get this car that I'm just going to keep looking for things until I guess that wistfulness, that wanting was always there. That's why I love 80s hatchbacks so much. I mean, they were just like, my favorite cars. That's just like my favorite genre of car because you don't see them anymore. And I guess that's for a good reason. But yeah, I'm gonna place my energy into finding something modern, something stable, something that I can rely on because I'm gonna have to have one because, my job calls for me to be on these roads. I'm probably gonna be covering Lincoln University football, which is right up the road in Western Chester, Delaware County. I'm going to be down in Dover a lot for Delaware State University football in the fall. And I'm going to be all around the state of Delaware for high school basketball from November 30th until March 15th or whenever it is. So basically, I need something reliable, but at the same time, the call of the wild is just like in my ear. And the call of the wild for me is an old school car. Like, I just love old cars, man. I put it on my Facebook, not my Facebook story, my Instagram story that I follow a box Chevy account on IG, and there's this great meme that they posted that of that Tesla Cybertruck that has been recalled, all 3,800 of them or whatever. And they're like, if this is the future, and the box with the Tesla Cybertruck up top, and then on the bottom says, I want to stay in the past, and it's a crystal clear, pristine box Chevy. And I'm like, yes, that's how I feel. So I'm torn. I need something. Like the bottom line is I need something that runs regardless. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's an old school or a new school, but that's where we are at this point. So I'm disappointed that this car didn't even last 2 years. This is the shortest I've ever had a car because I bought this car when my Honda CR-V died. And the Honda CR-V was the longest running car that I'd ever had. It ran almost 4 years. But, the engine gave out and I just didn't have the patience for it. And I'm seeing somebody else is still driving it around town after I junked it. So somebody else just had the patience to drop another engine or something in there. Who knows? But, I bought this car off my boy, the same one who was pricing me the transmission. And, the car is just shit. It's not him. It's not me. It's Nissan and the CVT. That's what it boils down to. I had this car from Memorial Day weekend 2022 to, I guess, whenever I can find somebody to junk it. And that's probably going to be very short. So, yeah, I will not have had this car 2 years. And it's already history. That says a lot about the automotive industry in general, how some cars are just disposable. And now most cars are disposable now. Even the ones that, all look the same. They all have the same aerodynamics, the same CVTs, the same hybrid, electric, gas motors, ICE versus EV and all of that. None of them last very long. They should. as much as they cost. And that's something else I want to get into really quickly. I mean, I did not plan for this video to go this long, but when you're talking cars and you're talking things you're passionate about, time just goes. So let me tell y'all something about Facebook Marketplace and people selling cars in 2024. You motherfuckers are delusional. Very, very delusional. Let me tell you why. Because granted, cars that need work, they didn't need work at some point. So they were worth a certain amount when they were new and reliable and fresh. Now we've got people that are literally selling shells, for exorbitant sums. Now, what I deem exorbitant might not be your exorbitant. For me, exorbitant is anything above $3,000. Because if a car doesn't run, why are you trying to charge somebody $3,000 and say, okay, well, you need to tow it, it needs a transmission, it needs this valve, it needs this head gasket, it needs this, and it's like, it needs body work. And I mean, the people that, and granted, I tried Facebook Marketplace to get rid of this Altima, but all I got was trolls. I got these foreign sounding names, and this isn't me being xenophobic or anything, but these are just like people that are literally like scammers from different countries. Like, yo, is it still available? It's like, you're not coming to Delaware. You don't even know where Delaware is on a map asking me, is this still available? And the one person that wanted to tow it for $600 just flaked on me, and I got really irritated. So I just took down the post. I may repost it, later on today. Not sure yet. But at some point, I'm trying to get rid of this car by the end of the week. No later than the end of the month, which of course is really coming up fast because, wow, this year is going by quick. In about less than a week and a half, it's going to be May. It's gonna be May. Shouts out to NSYNC. But yeah, I just I have to get rid of it because I may pay the tickets. I may not. As Steve Austin once said to Vince McMahon when he tried to have him sign that waiver form, maybe I'll sign it, maybe I'll shove it up your ass. That's how I feel about these tickets, honestly. So I say that now, but you never know how that can come back to haunt you. But I'm at the point in my life where I say what I want and do what I want. It's just the fuck it 40s. That's what it is now. I'm 42 years old. I'm out of fucks to give about a lot of things. I just can't keep putting myself through foolishness, but I'm going to comment. I'm going to call out the foolishness where I see fit. And that, like I said, Facebook Marketplace is like, yo, and people that, and I think the problem is that car culture has gotten so that everybody thinks they have a diamond in the rough, a hidden gem that is worth more than it actually is. Because I think what bothers me is that when people start selling base model cars like they're special editions, that's what grinds my gears, no pun intended. Because I could see if someone was something like, I'll give you an example. Like the Fast and Furious did for the Honda Civic what we'll say Megan Thee Stallion has done for twerking. And people have been twerking for a long ass time. There was a song that's 25 years old now called Back That Thing Up. Back That Ass Up. 25 years? Good grief. What is time anymore? Anyway. But yeah, Fast and the Furious did for the little versions of the Honda Civic from the 80s and 90s and the early 2000s what Megan Thee Stallion has done for booty shaking in 2024, pretty much. So now people seem to think, oh, I got my Fast and Furious car. Oh, I don't know, I'm not ever gonna fix it up, but I can sell it to somebody who can afford a profit. Bullshit. You will do no such thing over here. I'm not slow, buddy. Granted, I'm not a mechanic, but I know how much this part costs. I know how much that much labor costs. And a lot of y'all just be wild and talking about, oh, $2,000 for this, and it needs a transmission, and it needs, wheel bearings, it needs motor mounts, it needs, you might need to, replace the windshield wipers, you might need to replace the windshield, you might need to replace the door, but no low ballers. I know what I have. You don't have a goddamn thing, pal. Stop it. Please. For the love of God. Making it difficult for all of us to, get up and get around these days. But that's the price you pay. Granted, certain cars, okay. If I go outside right now and somebody's trying to sell a box Chevy for $4,000, I'm not going to question. And I mean, I live in Delaware. The box game is not like it is in, say, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, Louisiana, Texas, California. I mean, you see a box up here, you're just like, wow, somebody really still holding on to them. But down south, you expect to see them, and you expect to see them at a nice price because those dudes really put some muscle behind it with the candy paint, the woofers in the trunk, 26s on it. Like, I love dunk culture. If somebody would pay me to write a story about dunk culture to just travel around to Miami, Tampa, Fort Lauderdale, Atlanta, New Orleans, Houston, Dallas, LA, Oakland, whatever. If somebody would pay me to write a story about dunk culture, I absolutely would get on a plane and go. And I hate to fly. I love dunk culture. That's DONK, not DUNK. It sounds like I'm saying dunk, but I mean dunk. Hopefully it sounds right. And they say Delaware people don't have accents. But yeah. So yes, that's where we are at this point with the car situation. I'm torn in between just going on and getting something newer, fresh, and reliable. But then the nostalgia in me, the kid in me that's still alive, still wants an old school. So I'm again, I'll probably keep you. This is probably gonna be a running series, so I need to name it, give the series a name. Chris's car hunt. Chris searches and things. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But that's all I got for this edition of the Chris Stevens Right Show. Greatly appreciate y'all's time. I still owe you guys a couple more. I still owe you guys, a short that'll probably be coming later on in the week. And I'm going to put it out there. Rough Riders Anthem, not Rough Riders Anthem, the Rough Riders Ride or Die compilation turns 25 on Saturday, April 27th. I would love to have somebody come on this podcast and talk with me about it. I'm going to put it on social media so to see if anybody wants to come on with me and do it, so it can be like a special edition episode that comes out this coming Friday. So cross your fingers, say a prayer, or if you're a witchy woo-woo person, put the crystals on it, put the incense on it, whatever it is you do. Let's hope we get it done. So all the contact information for me and all of my work will be in the description below, as will my Cash App and my GoFundMe. If you've ever been moved or entertained or educated by anything I've written or spoken, you can kick me some coins, because it would be greatly appreciated as I try to get back on this road, at least, and if not for the summer, at least for the start of college football season, because I need a car for my job. So that's pretty much what it boils down to. So thank y'all for watching. As always, until the next time we speak, y'all be good or be good at it.